Going to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, December 16th, 2014. We have a village board meeting, and following that, we'll have a committee of the whole meeting. Our time is, 7:02? Our first order is the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Should we please call the roll?
Present.
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 Present. We do have a quorum this evening. Do we have any presentations this evening?
No, we don't.
Nothing? What I would like to do is ask for a moment of silence. And we've, in the village of Westchester, have had 3 individuals that passed away either right around December 1st that were probably near and dear to a lot of people on this board, but certainly the community at large. You know, Mr. Tom Durkin, state representative's father, passed away. Ed Matuga, former prosecutor for the village of Westchester, also Broadview and Bellwood and the Park District. And of course, Ms. Judy Bartopinka, our state comptroller, friend of Westchester. She lived in Riverside, but did a lot with Westchester, certainly back in the day as her state rep and state senate seat for the state of Illinois. So I would ask for a moment of silence for those individuals. Okay, and all probably know that Judy's memorial service is tomorrow at 9:30 in the Village of Countryside at the Union Hall right off of LaGrange Road and Joliet Road, for anyone that's interested and able to attend. Item number 5, public comments. If someone has anything to tell us, hopefully you can do it in 3 minutes about the active agenda or general matters. We'll try to give you a clue. I think you need to step up and make sure you give your name to our clerk so she gets it in the minutes so it's recorded properly.
Okay, my name is Al Basil, and I'm also accompanied by Ron Cosentino and Carl Santucci. We live on Beckett in Westchester, right down the street from the, I don't know what you call this project, MSD retention basin?
Mayfair Retention Pond. Yes.
Mayfair Retention Pond, okay. First of all, I want to thank you for the project going forward to alleviate some of Westchester's water problems. There's also, after completion of this project, what has Westchester have in mind or scheduled for safety and beautification of this large hole that has been dug? If nothing has been done, it should be put on the city's budget to address the situation. Also, besides that, Mr. Cosentino just advised me tonight that when the trucks come down our street, they completely ruin the street. It really needs to be repaved or something taken for that going forward. So what's going to be done? Has it been addressed prior to the start of this project? Or what are we going to do going forward about it? First of all, the safety and the beautification. We all have nice homes over there, but my concern also is we're not asking for a 12-link fence on the top over there, but just maybe some bushes or so on and so forth to keep the kids away and also to make it look nice. Any comments from this committee or anybody else here?
Well, first and foremost, you're probably aware that the property is owned by the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District.
Okay.
We probably took, and I don't have a count, but I would say there was probably 6 to 8 trees that may have been along that easternly end that certainly had to be removed. I know a couple were kept in that regard. I know Mr. Lewis presented me today, as a result of your letter, with a scheme that the MWRD had, at least a plan for landscaping back when it was built originally. Now, as I looked at that plan today, the amount of trees that they had, I don't want to say earmarked for, because I don't know, I wasn't here, but it certainly wasn't what ended up being there. But I can assure you that we will have dialogue with the MWRD. We haven't had any budgeting regarding any planting of anything at this point. We pushed to try to get this thing dug. It's going to be done in 2 phases. We got the digging of the hole first, and we're in discussion phases of phase 2, which will be potentially the construction of another sewer line down Carlisle. And that has to be determined, location. You know, we just redid that street, not knowing that we were going to get anything in regards to even starting the dig. So the street came first. So the question is, do we dig up the street? Do we dig up the parkway? If we dig up the parkway on the northern side, every one of those trees from Mayfair pretty much all the way down the sunny side are going to get wiped out. And we're told that they may not allow the planting, as certainly roots and infiltration that affect the pipe down the road may become an issue. So those are all things that we got hit in the head with just recently, and also some discussions on what other mechanisms or what other things the engineers may think that aren't part of the plan right now that may have to be added as a budget amendment down the road, not only from MWRD to try to get funding and whether or not we have enough money to put on those add-ons. So a lot of things, a lot of balls are up in the air, but I can.
But it is being addressed.
But I can tell you that we will be addressing it in the budget and in the meetings that we're going to have with V3, the engineer, and MWRD in the future.
Going forward, how will we be contacted or, know the status of this, or is it just going to go on and on and on?
Well, as we get some concrete information to share, that obviously, there's nothing in the hopper right this moment, we can certainly share that to the newsletter.
Could you share with the newsletter, or
contact
seeing that I'm up here talking, could it be shared with me? I already gave my name and so on and so forth, so I could pass this on to my neighbors and also the people that are concerned about it.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do right now is say, you've made a point. We've talked about, even prior to your letter,
Okay.
about what we're going to do with the boulders that are there and how we're going to make an area. I mean, it's still going to be used as a snow hill like it has been for the last
Of course,
30
and it always has been.
and that. So we don't want to,
But this is a pretty big snow hill now, right now,
yeah.
isn't it?
it's certainly going to be, which may bring problems in itself.
But you understand our concern,
So I certainly do.
okay?
But
And
I can assure you that it'll be addressed. The board is here
Okay.
listening to this, and, we want it to look as aesthetically beautiful as it is and do its job at the same time.
And also safety.
Well, absolutely. That's the
It
goal.
goes without saying. Ron? Carol, would you like to say anything? 3 minutes, hurry up.
Hi, I'm Carlo Santucci, 2929 Beckett. We've got about 20 names here, people that signed the second half of the letter, and I don't know if I should
You know what, give it to the clerk. It'll
Yeah,
be part
so
of their
at least
file.
It's kind of proof that
Yeah.
we have at least somebody that's interested in this project. And like Al, I want to thank you guys for really relieving the flooding problem. I hope even just digging it deeper has done that, because a lot of my friends, on the 2800 block going toward Sunnyside, got wiped out like 2 or 3 times and spent tons of money trying to repair their homes. Other than that, we're mainly concerned about, in the long run, how it's going to look, like Al said, as you drive by, and concerned about our property values a little bit. If it gets, we don't want it to look like a McCook quarry,
Yeah.
But other than that, that's about it. I appreciate everything you did.
But, the goal is there's some more digging to do.
Yeah.
The weather's been, although it's been nice out, it's been non-conducive.
Yeah.
I think the last, our engineer, our in-house, Robert, indicated that they were waiting for the dirt to harden a little bit, so they're not picking up jello. We did certainly realize, to address your other piece of your question, the streets, and we've looked at it before, we've looked at it again. We have to look at Mayfair as well. They're running up and around there, so, we will be addressing that as well. That's all part of the project that we knew we were going to have, because the trucks had to go somewhere, and what was the way we were going to go.
And we're only looking for, like a berm type thing, maybe a few evergreens or something, not anything flashy, but just something that'll do the
The job.
you know. Mainly wanted to get it onto the budget, but it looks like you guys already did that for next year.
Well,
we're
where our
trying
budget
to-
process is gonna start in January, February. We have to pass the budget by April 30th to have our marching orders, which is every year. It's not just this year. But it's nice that you're able to convey some stuff that really, honestly, I wasn't really thinking about. You know, there was 8 or 9 trees that were wiped down there, or whatever was taken down. They were in various sizes. I know, looking at the plans from '83, you know, when we plant trees, even on the Village Parkway, they're probably 2.5 inches.
You're right.
Guess what? By the time it
Take
gets to
forever.
10 inches, Queen of Heaven might be a
I
closer
know.
location for us.
20
So,
years down the road, yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay, well,
we'll
thank you very much. and-
you're on the radar.
All right, we appreciate it.
All right. So, and the dirt that's in that pile, that's topsoil that is going to be put back down once they finally get the grade they want, and then, I'm sorry? Okay, well, I just wanted, if you wondered what it was, that's what it is. All right. Thank you, guys. Anyone else? Anybody else? Once, twice, 3 times? Okay, thank you. Any public hearing?
No.
No, ma'am. Okay. Item number 7, consent agenda, items A through P. Oh, my Lord. Okay. Let's see, we have approval of record of bills ending 12/11/14 for, it was $1,817,663.67. We have the approval of the minutes of November 25th of the board, committee, and executive. Approval of department monthly reports that were all in our packets. Ordinance approving for the levy assessment and collection of taxes for the fiscal year beginning May 2014, ending April 30th, 2015, for the Village of Westchester, Cook County, in the amount of $7,617,377, and no change. Item E, an ordinance abating the 2014 tax levy for the $3.5 million Village of Westchester, Cook County, Illinois taxable general obligation bonds, motor fuel tax alternate revenue source, Series 2010A. Item F, ordinance abating 2014 tax levy for $1,610,000, Village of Westchester, Cook County, Illinois taxable general obligation bonds, water and sewer alternate revenue source, Series 2010B. Item G, ordinance abating 2014 tax levy for $5,800,000, Village of Westchester, Cook County, Illinois taxable general obligation bonds, sales tax alternate revenue source, Series 2013. Item H, resolution directing the Cook County Clerk to calculate separate limiting rates for the tax levy of the Village of Westchester, Illinois for the 2014 tax levy year. I, ordinance amending Chapter 5.36 entitled Liquor Sale of Title 5 entitled Business Licenses and Regulations of the Village of Westchester Municipal Code. Item J, an ordinance to approve and authorize a special use permit for medical marijuana dispensary facility at 10031 West Roosevelt within the Village of Westchester. Item K, an ordinance amending Chapter 1401.110 entitled Fees of Article 2 entitled Permits of Chapter 1401 entitled Administration of Title 14 entitled Building and Construction of the Village of Westchester Municipal Code. L, an ordinance of the Village of Westchester waiving competitive bidding and the authorization, execution, or agreement with Alliance Turf Management in the amount of $36,000. M, resolution approving 2015 schedule of meetings of the village president and the board of trustees of Westchester. N, ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Village of Westchester and McGrath Consulting Group for the performance of the Fire EMS Department service appraisal in the amount of $24,950. Motion to receive and file amended Economic Development Committee bylaws. And P, an ordinance authorizing the sale of surplus property of the village, a 1996 Vector truck, 2001 Dodge Neon, and a 1997 Chevy pickup truck. So we have A through P. Does anybody need anything pulled? Is there a reason we didn't go to Z? No? Okay. All right, with nothing being pulled, is there a motion and a second for the approval of items A through P?
Motion.
Angelo and Celeste.
Angelo and Celeste, is that okay? Angelo and Celestine. Is there any additional discussion on anything? If not, roll call, Sherby.
Trustee Perry.
Aye.
Trustee Rita.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yorkovich.
Aye.
Trustee Calhoun.
Aye.
President Bowie.
Aye, motion carries, items are passed. We did have all the right numbers in there for money once?
Yes.
We don't have anything that the PAC guy can come after us with?
No, I don't think
Okay, good. All right, item 8, active agenda, I see nothing?
Nothing.
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 Managers report, Janet.
A very brief report this evening. Just wanted to let everybody know that Village Hall offices, administrative offices and Public Works will be closed in observance of Christmas on Thursday, December 25th. We will be open on Christmas Eve. And just wanted to extend wishes for a safe and happy holiday season to all staff, trustees, President Puglia, and obviously the residents of Westchester. So Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Your job, your report. Do you have a report for us this evening?
No report, except I hope you have a wonderful holiday, everyone.
Board members, EDC, anything?
I have nothing to report.
I have something to tell you.
Oh, boy.
That I had a conversation, I mentioned this to Melissa today. I had a conversation with Commissioner Boykin, who represents the northern Cook County, from the city of Chicago and from about Canterbury North, in your neck of the woods. He's interested in bringing his economic development director to a meeting, and I suggested an EDC meeting. So I will try to arrange either the first or second meeting you have in January, but you're the liaison to that committee, and have either Commissioner Boykin and Mr. Cole attend, or Mr. Cole attend himself, and put some information of what Cook County has to offer in the economic realm to your committee, just so
Is
you
he
know.
contacting me, or should I contact him?
I'm just
gonna.
gonna contact him with some dates and say which one works for
Cool.
you.
All
And
right,
then
good.
I'll let you and Melissa know.
That's great,
Okay.
yeah.
Nikki,
Nothing tonight.
Celestine,
Just happy holidays, nothing.
Angelo, Green
Nothing this evening.
Committee.
We were unable to meet last month, or this month.
Tommy, anything in
I
there?
have nothing really. The toy tech drive was a success, so thank you all who donated. That's about it.
Great. Okay. Chief Carpino. Birthday boy tomorrow.
Be prepared. 62 years old tomorrow, which means I'm eligible for Social Security.
At a reduced rate, though.
30-day notice, and you can give me a ride home, and I'll back this operation. No, very pleased to be serving the village of Westchester. For those of you that are in the audience who don't know me, I've been serving as a police officer for 40 years. I was a police chief in Oak Brook, Willow Springs, Worth. I was a deputy chief in Oak Brook Terrace. Retired, was a city manager for 3 years, and when the mayor brought me here to the village last year to be a police chief for 2 years. So, faculty member at Lewis University. In light of all that, with everything that's going on in Ferguson and New York, I'm a member of the Illinois Association of Law Enforcement Executives. I hosted a meeting here last Tuesday. I had a police chief here that used to be the chief of Shreveport, Louisiana. He was the chief of Quincy, Illinois. He was in Elgin. I had the chief of LaGrange Park here, a chief from East Dundee. We had the chief of Rockford on a phone line, so we could get some traction on what's going on to try to be proactive. We'd like to be the ones, we're the first chiefs organization in Illinois, that went to the media, did a press release saying something needs to be done to address all this controversy that's going on in law enforcement, and we'd like to have a seat at the table. So we spoke with State Rep Chris Welch here in Westchester, and he's going to be on a committee that's going to develop some guidelines, some training, some policies, and we're offering our assistance because each one of the chiefs that's in my organization, including George Graves, who's a former chief at Downers Grove, and Western Springs, we each have 40 years. So like between 5 of us alone, there's 200 years of experience. We're all professors. We've done this a few times. We stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, so we know what we're doing. It's a joke. But I mean, it's like, we are willing to, putting a body camera on police officers isn't the solution. You know, we can put all the cameras on people all day long, but if you're not following up and doing the right investigations and taking the right actions, and you don't have the right policies in place or the right training, there are some police departments, 80% of the police departments in the United States have 20 or less police officers. 80% of the police departments in the United States have 20 or less cops. So, you know, Willow Springs, we had, right in that area, Worth, we had 24, Oak Brook Terrace had 20. We're fortunate here we have 30, but most of the towns that surround us have 20 or less police officers. So we need assistance, we need to work with the government. So on that note, the mayor's part of the organization as well, because he's a retired police officer and a retired chief. So we're willing to go to the table with our state legislators in Illinois to try to come up with some solutions. So I'll be working in that vein, hopefully in 2015 with State Rep Chris Welch. As an aside, we had the first ever awards ceremony for the Westchester Police Department, where the officers voted on who would be worthy to receive an award. We had an Officer of the Year, which was Officer Fellers. We did this at a local restaurant. They opted not to come to a board meeting. I paid for the pizzas. They bought their own cocktails or whatever they had. Didn't cost the village anything other than the cost of the plaques. We had several significant arrests last year. We solved a residential burglary within like 48 hours by the use of fingerprint technology. We solved another burglary where someone's home was burglarized when they were sleeping, and they were actually breaking into cars in addition to breaking into a home. We solved a couple commercial burglaries on the east side of town, and I have to say the midnight shift is, well, the whole police department has done a phenomenal job, including the detectives. They've all been working very hard this year. We've cleared up some significant arrests and some significant burglary cases within the village. We don't have a lot of crime, but what we had this year, we are right on top of all the events, which is phenomenal to be able to say we had a great clearance rate. As a result, we did honor Officer Mode and Officer Kirk, police officers on the midnight shift, and one officer actually, when he came across a group that he thought was involved in a commission of a burglary, he actually went home and got a radio and programmed the frequency and actually picked up these people talking to each other. The burglars had radios. They were professionals, and they were scattered out between here and Bellwood and Broadview. And after we made the first arrest, they actually had the nerve to come back and attack another building with a different group of people. We seized their cars. We currently have their cars. We hopefully will be able to seize them permanently. So we took off, like, I think 5 burglars within a short period of time that were stealing copper from vacant buildings. But that's just the start. Once they're in your town, they're going to keep coming back. So we gave an award to Sergeant Vince Lamanna and Sergeant Dominic Luciano because they did we didn't just give the awards based on a vowel at the end of their name. It just happened we had a couple of sergeants that were Italians that did a phenomenal job. And we also want to acknowledge Sergeant Rogers and Sergeant Newton from the midnight shift because they put a lot of hard work in this case. So they would rather be low-key and not come here and wear their uniforms and be presented their plaques. I gave them the option, and they decided to go with the casual route last week. I invited the mayor. The mayor was present. Being he had 30 years of dedicated service at his village as a police officer, I thought it was only worthy that he be there as well, sir. And the officers respected it. We'll do it again next year. And Officer Verper, who's been nominated as the Man of the Year or Officer of the Year for the school district, we just received a correspondence from all the school bus drivers within the village because we're the only community that I know of in the area. We did a story in the Doings a few months ago. We're doing operations with the school buses where we have officers on the school bus. So when a car goes around the stop arm on the school bus, we have an officer that will call it in, and there's another chase car in the area that will stop the violator and issue a ticket. And you could have your license suspended and a several $100 fine. In addition to that, we're sending letters out that the information is being obtained from the school bus drivers of these violations that were not on the buses, because it's labor intensive to have an officer on the bus. But we're going to have a couple operations, the word just to the wise, that we're going to have a couple operations in the next week or so where the officers will be on the bus in the morning and in the afternoon once again, and we'll be handing out coupons for people who are going around the stop arms. It's a violation, and we don't need any of the children hurt within the community. We're always at the schools in the morning and the afternoon when the kids are back and forth to school as much as we can be, because we have to watch out for the seniors in our town and the kids. I always say that my primary goal is to take care of the kids in this town and the seniors. That would be, I guess, anyone over 62 years of age and older, because I'm a senior. And everyone in between, go get yourself a concealed carry. You're on your own. We're worried about the kids and the seniors. But so all the school bus drivers signed this in support of what we're doing here, and they thanked all of our officers. So we're doing something good within the community, and unfortunately, we're catching a black eye big time in law enforcement. And police work, from when I started in 1972, we didn't have cameras, we didn't have computers, we didn't have two-way radios. We made $4 an hour as police officers. We got the job done. It's really come a long way, and I've stayed on top of it by teaching criminal justice information systems for Lewis University. I'm able to show them a picture of myself when I had the stash going and an afro hairdo, and how we got police work done. I was an Addison police officer back in the early 70s. To see the transition from where we were then to where we are now, it's phenomenal, and I'm glad I could say I've been a part of all these different eras of policing. And I'm one of the dinosaurs that's at the tail end of their career. It won't be much longer, but all the experience of people like at my age, we're done. We're going to be out of the business in the next couple of years, and they're losing a lot of experienced officers. I'm sure the firefighters are having the same issues, but we're willing to do whatever we can and volunteer and give back to communities that are not as fortunate as we are. So, with that, I think I've touched on all the bases that I wanted to discuss this evening. So.
Thank you, Chief. Jimmy.
I just want to say thank you publicly to the Chamber of Commerce for donating a reef sleeve to the fire department, and then Janine's Hair Salon actually generously donated a second one, so both of our ambulances. It's a really unique piece of equipment for moving patients in odd positions. And then number two, the Chamber also collectively voted our paramedics as Man of the Year, and they'll be recognized on, I believe, January 24th at their Celebrate Westchester.
Thank you. Maureen.
Recently, the finance department had sent out all the business liquor license renewals to all the businesses in the community. We had also sent out letters to any of those businesses who are owing the village monies. We're seeing great results in collecting those. Recently, I, along with Greg and the village manager, sat in on debt recovery training. That's something that we're going to be implementing here in the next calendar year. We're hoping to see successful results with that as well. That's all I have. And then at the COW, I'll be reporting on my second quarter financials.
Thank you. Gregory.
Just very briefly, I just received this near the end of the day, and I thought I'd make notice of it. Every year I do a 911 report that goes down to the Illinois Commerce Commission detailing the neighboring communities that we share services with, and also report down the number of telephone lines that we have in our town. And I just wanted to make note, because this is actually something in terms of how the village as a whole is doing. Over the years, that number fluctuates. We sort of use that as a guide to determine how much money the 911 fund will generate for the next year. Currently, our tax rate is $1.50 per access line. We then use that number that's provided to us by AT&T to generally come up with a budget number, because that number does fluctuate throughout the year. People, things have changed in terms of how homes have telephones. Businesses have different types of lines now. They're using voice over IP, which don't get charged for every single line. But I just wanted to make notice that since I've been in the position I'm in for the last 11 years, we've never had as many lines as we had this year. So that's basically it. I'm going to assume we haven't had in a residential building, but that's a big part of the commercial business that has been brought into Westchester over the last year. Just as a guide, 8 years ago we had 15,000 lines. It went down to 10,000 lines, and just again as a matter of notice, today AT&T advised we have just under 19,000 lines. We haven't had that large of a number in the last 11 years. I know at one point, the mayor could probably attest to this when he was getting these figures sent to him. I think PageNet was the only reason we had the excess up to it was a total of 24,000, I believe, altogether, correct?
We started out with 12 landlines.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
And so, we're not going to get actually, we can't use that as a multiple to come up with the $1.50 figure, so don't do that in your head. But I'm still going to have to contact AT&T for some, exact numbers as to what they're going to be billing on. But it is a guide and a measure of success to the businesses that are in this town to have 18,000 or almost 19,000 phone lines in something that hasn't been here for over 11 years in my book. So, again, just wanted to note that after seeing it, I was somewhat shocked. But it's a great feeling to know that we've got a lot of business in town, and of course that does help our 911 fund bring in some revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Robert.
Just to catch you up on projects this year, our paving is complete. We're just working on a punch list. We got the last pavement in last week. Our 2 million gallon water tank on Enterprise Drive is operational and filled up, so the water ban's over, and we're just doing some cleanup at the site. Work on our emergency generator for Village Hall and Fire Station 1. Work has begun, so we're beginning construction there. The Mayfair Detention Basin is 2/3 excavated. That's about 40,000 cubic yards have been removed. Roughly speaking, that's approximately 2 million gallons. So that's the equivalent volume that's been removed. We have another 20,000 cubic yards or 1 million gallons left to remove. In the last few weeks since the last board meeting, we've entered into 2 contracts I just wanted to make you aware of. We hired Allen ICS to go into Crestwood Station and rewire some of the variable speed drives. When we replace the constant speed motors with variable speed motors, during that conversion a couple years ago, they removed the manual on-off switches, so we are unable to just turn the pumps on and off. So we're going to install it in pumps 2, 3, and 4 of these manual switches so we can turn them down to do maintenance. The cost of that was $1,940, a fairly reasonable cost to go in and put a couple switches in so we can do better operations. We also entered into a contract with Christopher Burke Engineers to do a phase 1 bridge replacement study. Purpose of this is for Gladstone Bridge. Gladstone Bridge is becoming functionally deficient. We've had to put a couple plates out there because of parts of the road deck that have failed. We had structural engineers look at it. It is still drivable. I know we have a bus route that goes over there and they assessed it. It's still okay for that. But we're going to begin the process to replace that bridge. The phase 1 contract that we entered in with Christopher Burke Engineers is $1,500 for the Gladstone Bridge. And what we're going to do is have them go through and apply for the state bridge funds. These are matching 80-20 funds. They'll pick up 80% and we'll pay 20%. The approximate cost of building a new bridge in that location is about $1 million. So they'll pick up 800,000 of it. It's a 3-year process from where we start now, and we wanted to get that process going right away. We think this bridge will last for another 3 years, but we want to have the replacement in the process. So we entered into that contract. There will be a follow-up contract for design, but right now we want to get a placeholder on the state's budget so we can get that 80-20 money. So we entered in a contract with them and authorized them to proceed.
Robert, have they looked at the Wedgwood Bridge as well? At any deficiencies that you're aware of that they mentioned, or is it in good, clean health at this point?
Yes. Every 2 years we're required to perform an inspection on all 3 of the bridges that we own. They were in all 3, plus the one on Gardner. They are okay. They are in need of some maintenance, which we can program through the capital budget. But Gladstone needs a lot more help. It's sort of reached the end of its life, I think. But on Wedgwood, the deficiencies are more in the approach slab. There's a lot of bumps in there that we can fix, but the structure is in good shape.
Okay. Good. Melissa, hiding in the corner there.
Good evening. I only have a couple things this evening. I sent out the business owner newsletter. It's the first one that we've sent out to all the business owners that we have emails for. It's just sort of an informational thing. I tried to make sure that the entire board was on the newsletter, just in case you were curious what was going to be going out to the business community. We had the public hearing for the billboard last week, and that's on the committee of the whole tonight. And I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with Duncan Associates and Codometrics to begin the process of going over our zoning code update. So that project should get started soon. Just so everybody knows, my department issued 132 permits last month, completed 196 inspections, and there was about a $1.5 million in construction value.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Sherby, swinging the bat, girl.
I have two things I wanted to comment on. The first was, as a member of the transition team for Commissioner Borkin, I feel that we truly have someone that is and would be an ally that we have access to, and he would be an advocate for the village, so that any assistance that we may need, that we truly reach out to him. And the second thing that I wanted to comment on was what you said earlier, Chief Harpino, regarding the task force that was being created, that has been created by the chiefs to address issues. I want to commend you for that, and also I commend the effort that you're trying to take in getting in front of issues that we saw, such as that at Ferguson and New York. And would also like to recommend that we also, that your team also involve some of the residents at some point to get input from them as to things that, either residents can learn or give the officers can learn. And I wanted to also offer myself as a volunteer for that.
Well, what I didn't mention earlier is we're in discussions with Dr. Tiffany Sanders, who has an office here in the village. She's a member of the chamber, and she does like training for public safety. So we're going to offer to our officers in the near future a 4-hour segment of training where their schedules work out where the officers owe us a day, a year of training at no cost to the village. So the only cost is going to be the training. So we're going to have some like sensitivity training. There's other training that we need to be up to speed with, like dealing with people with mental disorders that misdiagnosed a lot of times as well. But I'm sure by next spring or next summer, once our officers have received some additional training in the spring, and we see where this is going with the community, the state, and what they're doing, what they're not going to do. They've got us filling out cards every time they make a traffic stop. If someone gets the shit kicked out of them somewhere in some town, anywhere in Illinois, there's no requirement to go to court. Everything's kind of lopsided with Ronald's an office in Illinois. He created these stop cards. We're collecting data on who we're stopping and what race they are. And it's really proving nothing because nothing's been done with the data. But yet if someone gets too much to the police, they just blow them off and wait and see if they can sue. So a lot of things are, they're counting numbers, but they're not really doing anything collecting. We're going to be, let's say our organization was the first organization to go to the forefront and have a press release. Actually, our spokesperson, Dan McCullough, retired from the Grange Park. When I was a cop for 40 years ago, he was interviewed by WGN. So we're doing as much as we can here in Westchester. We have, and I'll be glad to open it up to the community and have it open in the house, or maybe we could do it in conjunction with the open house that we have at the police station. Work on it in that direction. So I know there's we have diverse communities. We want to be ahead of the curve with whatever we need to be on top of it. So I want to include it.
Great. Anything else, Ms. Sherby? Yeah, and certainly as a police officer working with John all these years, as soon as this stuff started to, I'll call it metastasize to the energy levels that it is. We've been in contact in the organization that Chief McCullum has John as a board member for quite some time, and we talked about, you know, the diversity training that I had back in the day and what they get in the academy, and it's like anything else, the reinforcement and just the information that has to be shared, and the standards that, you know, we have to follow the right way. So I laud the chief and what the organization is doing. We got a hold of Chris Welch. In fact, Chris was in Dallas, Texas when I called him, and Dan had made some calls that were unsuccessful, and I called Chris, and he called right back from Texas, and he was meeting down there in regards to the issue as well. And I said, hey, this is what we're doing. We're trying to get a hold of you. I see you sent me an email that you're out of town. And he called back right away and talked to Dan and John and got on board. And I had seen him subsequent to that phone call when he got back, and he's ready to go in the spring. I mean, he said to me, let's go right now. And I said, whoa, you know, I'm not the president of the organization, and, you know, there's a hierarchy. I'm just, you know, a member. But I think if we're going to do this right, you have to involve not only the organization that proffered it, but certainly the state training board, the state police, city of Chicago. We all got to be talking on the same sheet of music. We can't be doing stuff. And I think our thrust was to make sure that we had a seat at the table, because sometimes there are laws that are passed that there's exclusions to the people that have to work it. And I think there needs to be a voice at the table, and I think that's what we're to promulgate what rules are enforceable and what we're looking to accomplish and be out there. So I certainly laud all the chiefs and these are all my friends that I've known for 40 years, in putting this together and being the first out there. In fact, I wrote a blurb in a newsletter today. You know, I write the newsletter now that comes out in January, so these issues are going to be in the newsletter as other issues that John had mentioned as well, about, you know, what we're prepared to do in Westchester. I was sent an email from Lieutenant O'Hagan the other day, and in the newsletter as well, that St. Joseph's High School is the most diverse high school in the country. Believe it or not, right here in Westchester. From the Niche Foundation, who did some study, and there's a link in the article that you can click on, and you can see the study and what questions and who was involved to develop that number that we were number one, and who the Niche Foundation people are. So there's a lot of things out there that we're doing in Westchester that are really groundbreaking and first and foremost. And I think that's the position that this board wants to be in all occasions, is to be first. In fact, there's another first on the board here. Our firefighter is a master's degree recipient
Please
just
refer
this
to me as
past
Master
weekend.
Nick.
Right?
Master, yeah. If you could refer to me as Master Nick.
Master Nick, certainly a public administration, certainly with a law enforcement background. So he's well versed in not only firefighting, but law enforcement and public administration as well. So certainly a kudo to.
Thank you very much.
To
one of my
St. Nick.
Chief Carpino, right over there.
So, anyway, I did receive a couple of correspondence that I'd like to share from Representative Durkin, certainly thanking us for the police escorts and the kind words from the village staff who attended the wake and funeral. We did do an escort for Representative's father. I received this from the mayor of Oak Park, Anan Abu Talib. On behalf of the Village of Oak Park, I want to sincerely thank the Village of Westchester for their assistance at the Toronto Bakery Garage Fire, 6520 West Roosevelt Road, on November 11th. The assistance your fire department provided aided in getting the situation and the immense amount of smoke under control. It's good to know that we can always count on your fire department's ability to assist us in mitigating incidents that may require more than our department can provide. Thank you once again for your department's assistance. Jimmy, I don't know if you received this similar letter, but I'd like you to post it. Did you get one?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Get that one as well out there. So, I mean, these are examples of cooperation between departments, and these are all positive things that the Village of Westchester is doing. We did receive this proud participant in a National League of Cities Service Line Warranty Program to the Village of Westchester, We were fortunate when we attended the conference in Austin, Texas, that the group was there trying to get other municipalities signed up for this worthy cause that we've been signed up for a number of years. And I don't know where Tommy was. I don't know where you ran off to, but we had a picture without you, unfortunately, that they sent as well. So thanks for the continued support for the National League of Cities program. And I believe there was other communities in the suburbs here that were signing up as we were there. So it's a good thing. Other than that, again, this is the Christmas season. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the different ones out there. I don't want to be selective in my faith alone, but certainly there's Kwanzaa and all the other ones out there. I want to say that the December 3rd and 4th event at the Park District with our holiday Christmas worked very well. The trees look beautiful. Tom, thanks for all your help in Public Works. The horse-drawn cart bringing Santa and Mrs. Claus into town, I think, worked out well. And, you know, we try to do what we can to make the town a little bit more beautiful. And that's going to be one of the thrusts for the next year, 2015. I know Celestine and the Green Committee, and certainly the CAB as well, are all committed to making the town to look that much more better, which certainly we're going to need the help of all the citizens as well to do some of the things that we can't do and some of the little extra things. So, again, thanks to everybody. I don't believe we have an exec. Is that right? So is there a motion, a second, to adjourn our board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Frank and Nick. All those in favor of adjourning our board meeting say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition say no.